Hello Boxmoders and welcome to our webinar. I'm Vlad and I work in marketing at Boxmode. We're going to start in a moment. Let's wait a minute for everybody. We can chat in the meantime. How are you? Where are you from? Let me know if I'm audible. I'll write you something in the chat. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Let me know if I'm audible. 1 2 1 2. Hi Alex, thanks for joining. I think we can wait a bit more. We have only 3 people joined. So I know we had an electricity maintenance in our building recently, and technicians promised me that there should be no power shortage. But if suddenly I disappear, you know what happened. So I'm wearing my lucky hat today as an insurance that everything will go smoothly and without any technical issues. Also like to tell you that there is around 20 seconds broadcast lag, which will cause communication delay. So basically I'm 20 seconds ahead. And also the recording of this webinar will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you are interested but have no time at this moment, you can watch it later. So I think we already waited for 2 minutes. So I think we can start. So hello once again. My name is Vlad and I work as product marketing manager at Boxmode. Thank you so much for joining. And here is our agenda for today's webinar. First, we're going to summarize what we implemented with our last release. Then we're going to cover some of the most frequently asked questions about custom domains, how to connect them, where to get them, how to use Boxmode vouchers and others. Custom domain questions are going to be the main topic for today's discussion. And then we will briefly cover what's going to be implemented in the next release, what will be included, possible timeframes. We have scheduled around 20 minutes for the presentation part, and after that I'll answer questions. This is kind of experimental format, and we hope that this webinar will be useful for you and it will help you to answer all questions or concerns that you have regarding custom domains, and so be able to easily and quickly set your custom domain for your Boxmode website. Also, we'll be glad to receive your feedback and suggestions after the webinar, and I'll ask my colleague to share a feedback form in the chat. You'll find this feedback form in the description to this video. So without further ado, let's start off by reviewing our latest platform updates. Recently we worked more on the platform performance and on the foundation for further major improvements, which we will discuss in the end. But here what we implemented recently in terms of new functionality. So now it is much easier to pick a font when using an inline editor. We're integrated with a Google Fonts library, which gives you hundreds of different fonts to choose from. Now instead of scrolling up and down and trying to find the font that you want, you can just simply use this input to type the name of the font that you're looking for and change it on fly, like this. Also, we have upgraded the preview mode. So now it allows you to preview the page that you're currently editing. And before, when you switch to the preview mode, it opened the home page by default, which was not really convenient. Now it is fixed. So although these are small additions, they will definitely make your website building experience easier. And the last one is we added the section library, where you can find and add to the web page various sections from different templates. It is especially useful when you're building a web page from scratch. And as you probably notice, on web pages across different websites, there are lots of common sections that are expected. And here we can see these sections are grouped by the most frequently used. Obviously, we have a welcome category of sections where you can choose a top section of your website, the About Us section to tell who you are and what you do, features section to highlight your unique offerings, testimonials to share your success story, contact us, banners, and there are lots more to come. So this is not the final version, and this list will constantly be extended. So now, even if starting with a blank theme, these numerous pre-designed elements will save you tons of time building a responsive web page from ground up. Let me check the chat if we have any questions so far. Okay, now let's move on to the main topic of today's webinar, all things custom domain. So the first thing that we're going to talk is how to connect a third-party custom domain to your Boxmode project. We'll be looking at a GoDaddy service provider as an example. Then we will talk about what SSL certificate is and how it is getting installed on your custom domain. Then we are going to talk about ways of getting custom domain via Boxmode. And in the end, we will touch on the subject of Google Search Console and how to connect your custom domain to the Google Search Console. So let's start with the first question. As you know, Boxmode offers a free domain with boxmode.io extension. But custom domain will help your website to look more professional online and build your brand credibility. So if you are planning long-term business, it's quite important to use custom domain instead of generic domain extension, so your prospects know that you are for real. So let's say we purchase custom domain, and how do we connect it? Let's connect it to this test website. For this, we need to go to Manage Domains, go to Add Domain tab, and here we can see a step-by-step instructions that we need to follow. So let's start with the first step, log into a custom domain provider's service, which I already did. Again, we are going to be using the GoDaddy as an example, as it is the most frequently used custom domain provider. But on the back end, the logic behind connecting custom domain to other providers is all the same. So here is my GoDaddy account, here's my custom domain, so let's click on it. And scroll down and go to Manage DNS. Now let's switch back to our instructions, and on the next stage we need to update the DNS settings of our custom domain with the following parameters. Don't worry if it looks like incantation, it's really simple, and we will do it step by step. So the first thing that we need to add is the so-called A record, and this A record should point to this IP address. So let's click on it to copy it and go back to our DNS management. Here we need to click on Add, choose the A record as a type, host should be add, and points to should be this IP address. So if we compare it, A, add, and this IP address, so it's all here. Let's save the change. And the next one is AAA record, and this one has to point to this IP address. So let's copy it. Go back to our DNS management, click on Add, choose for a record. Host again should be add here. Points to should be this IP address, and click on save. And the last one that we need to add is the so-called CNAME. CNAME stands for canonical name. It's a type of DNS record that maps one domain name to another. So we need to map www version of our custom domain to a non-www version, so it works fine both ways. So let's copy this string, go to our DNS, click on add, choose this time CNAME, host this time should be www and points to this string, and let's save the change. So it might take some time for changes to propagate, and according to instructions it could take up to 24-48 hours, but in reality it's much faster. So another thing to remember here is that when you purchased the custom domain from a third-party service provider, it could come with a default A record and default 4A record. So you need to make sure that you have only one A record and one 4A record for it to work correctly. So you can either remove these default options or substitute them so they match exactly what you can see here in the instructions. So the next step after we updated our DNS settings, we need to verify our domain with the Boxmode. So we just need to enter it in this field and click on verify. If changes haven't taken place yet, you would see a different message. You would see something stating that the A record was not found, or something along the lines. In this case, you would need to wait a bit more until the DNS changes are implemented on the side of the third-party domain provider, and then to return back later. In our case, this domain is already ready for the Boxmode, so we can connect it. So let's click on connect. And now this domain will appear in a connected domains tab. Here we can see our default Boxmode URL. We can see here this custom URL and www version of our custom URL. Also, you can see that here is a message that SSL certificate is getting generated. So we provide you with a free SSL certificate. SSL certificate is the additional security layer that makes your website look more trustworthy and more secure. People and browsers, they don't trust websites without SSL certificate nowadays, especially if it is e-commerce website. So it is a must-have feature, and it is presented in the form of a log that you'll see here to the left of the address bar. And if you click on this log, you can see that the connection is secure. It means that this GoDaddy website is secure. The same with the Boxmode. So this certificate will be automatically updated by us as long as your custom domain is connected to the Boxmode. And the final step to connect the custom domain is to set it as primary. Let's click to this ellipsis menu next to the www version of our custom domain and set it as primary, like this. I recommend using www version of custom domain as primary because in this case we can guarantee the uninterrupted operation of your website in case of the so-called DDoS attacks. It is when the culprit programmatically sends too many requests to the website to break its accessibility. We have protection mechanisms against this kind of activity that will work in case if you use a www version of your custom domain. So if you have any questions about aforementioned, let me know in the chat and I'll get back to you during the Q&A. So another question for today: how can we get a custom domain via Boxmode? So there are two ways to do this. One is to directly purchase it, and another is to use a voucher. So let's review the first one. Let's go to the Get Domains, and when choosing a domain name, make sure it is easy to remember. Make sure it is as short as possible while still being exciting. and stay away from dashes, underscores, or string of numbers. And remember that your domain is your identity. So let's type here the domain that we want to have, for example this one, and we will see a list of domains on offer, and next to the domain that you can purchase you will see the price. Domains that are not available or domains that have already been taken will have the corresponding message to the left here. So this one is not available, for example. Also, it is worth mentioning that we do offer only a limited range of domain extensions, and you can find the list of domain extensions in the Help Center article. If you go here, and you can see that you can buy domain name with the following extensions: .com, .net, .cc, and so on. So once you choose which domain you would like to purchase, you can just simply click on buy and finalize the purchasing process. The domain that you purchase from us requires no additional setup in terms of DNS. It will be configured automatically, and once you purchase it, it's going to be added automatically to connected domains tab. And here, as a final step, you also would need to set your that domain as primary, the same way we did with this GoDaddy custom domain. But here's another thing. Once you purchase a domain via Boxmode, you receive a verification message sent to your email address that you have used during registration on boxmode.com. So message will look like this. You have 15 days to verify ownership of your custom domain by clicking on the verification link that you will see in this email. If you don't do this within 15 days, the access to your domain will be suspended until you do so. So make sure to use email that you have access to when you register an account with Boxmode. And if for some reason you cannot find this verification email after checking all folders of your inbox, or if you made a typo during registration, you can contact our support team and ask them to resend this message to the correct email address. So this domain email verification is a requirement of the so-called ICANN policy. ICANN stands for Internet Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers, and by rules of which we all have to abide when it comes to domains. As for SSL certificate for your custom domain, it's also going to be generated automatically as well. So you don't need to worry about this at all. Okay, so now let's talk about vouchers. As a promotional gift, you receive a 1-year free domain voucher with initial purchase of a basic annual subscription. So let me switch to another project where I have a basic annual plan to show you how it works. So let's go to Manage Domains and let's go to Get Domain. And here you will see the banner that states that you have 1 voucher. So how can you apply it? Again, we just simply type the domain that we want to purchase, and we will see a list of possible options. And next to some of these options, we will see a gift box and a free button. So it means that this voucher cannot be applied to all types of domains. This voucher can be used to get a domain name with some of the extensions. And the list of available extensions you can find in our terms of service, or you can open the support article and you will find it here. So you have 12 months to redeem the voucher from the date you purchase the basic subscription. If you don't do this within this period of time, it will be terminated. The renewal of the domain subscription for every consecutive year is paid by user respectively to the rates. So I hope this part with purchasing domains and connecting them to your Boxmode website was clear. Let me know if you have any concerns about what we just discussed. And now let's move to the final question of our webinar. It's how to connect your custom domain to Google Search Console. So Google Search Console is a free tool from Google that allows you getting useful information about your website performance in search. Google Search Console, it highlights eventual problems that the website has. It provides suggestions on improvements. It shows search traffic dynamics. It shows keywords that people are using to find the website in the search. So if you are concerned about your website visibility in Google search, this is like a must-have instrument in your toolkit. And by the way, a unique domain name also makes your website easier to find via Google search. So if you're interested to learn more about the topic of search engine optimization and its importance in the website promotion, I'll ask my colleague to share a link to our search engine optimization webinar and also a link to our blog, where we have lots of information on the subject of search engine optimization written in simple language. So to connect Google Search Console, first you would need to have a Google account, which everyone has nowadays. And then you need to go to the search.google.com. It's a website of Google Search Console. You can Google it and you'll find the link. So once you get to this website, you'll also find Google tutorials that will help you to get started with Google Search Console. You'll find them right on the landing page. So in order to connect our website to Google Search Console, we just simply click on Start Now, and we'll see this pop-up window where we'll be prompted to enter the URL of our website. So we will connect this domain here. So let's enter it and click on Continue. And on the next stage, we'll be prompted to prove to Google that we are indeed the owner of this domain. And there are several of different ways that we can do so, but the universal way is to update the TXT record of DNS settings of our custom domain with this verification string. So we can just simply copy the string, go back to our DNS, click on Add, choose TXT type, the host should be add, and the TXT value should be this string, and click on Save. Again, it might take some time for changes to propagate, and you can return back to the Google Search Console later. Yeah. And after verification is completed, you will start receiving all kinds of statistics and information about your website performance in search right in your Google Console cabinet. And so what about connecting the custom domain that you purchased, that you got via Boxmode, to Google Search Console? The only difference is that instead of going to DNS settings and adding this TXT record by yourself, you can send a ticket to our support team with request to finalize the verification process. And don't forget to include this verification string, and we will do the rest. Hope it's all clear. Let me know if you have any questions about this so far. And to finalize our presentation, let me say a couple of words about our upcoming release. So next time we're going to implement some big features. The first one is the online store. We are in the final stages of its development. It is going to be a very powerful tool that will help you to quickly deploy and manage the online store, where you can merchandise digital and physical goods. Once it is implemented, I think we will make the entire series of webinars specifically dedicated to building and managing online stores. Also, the project analytics will be implemented. It is crucial to measure website performance, to know what works and what needs to be improved. So you will be able to integrate popular analytic tools such as Google Analytics, GTM, Hotjar, Facebook Pixel. It's also going to be available in the next release. And for those of you who require some advanced customization options on your web pages, we are going to add the HTML widget, where you can add raw HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Also, blog will be available after the next release, and as you know, blog is an integral part of content marketing strategy. And the membership area also will be ready after next release. So if you're planning to set up community, we got you covered. As for the timeframes, analytics, online store, and HTML widget will be ready in the beginning of the third quarter, and blog and membership area in the middle of the third quarter. So this is it for our presentation part, and we can go to the questions if we have any. And also to stay tuned for recent platform updates, our plans, news, etc. You can join our Facebook community. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. You'll find all the respective links in the description to this video. Also, my colleague will share it with you in the chat. I see that we have no questions at the moment. So I think we can wait a minute or so. If we won't have any questions, we can wrap up. Hi, thanks, Slava. Well, if you don't have any questions for now, you can find a form to ask a question in the questionnaire that we shared with you in the chat. Also, you can find it in the description. If you think of a question you wish to have an answer to, you can put it there. Also, you can contact our 24/7 support team about any questions you have as well. Thank you so much then for being here today. I do appreciate your dedicated time. Hope it was interesting and useful. And see you next time. Goodbye.